One of the hottest startups in Switzerland is currently Relai, an on-ramp to make Bitcoin purchases super easy. And I'm joined today by Julian Liniger, CEO and founder of Relai. Julian, how are you doing?
Hi, man. I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for having me. What about you?
Can't complain. Always many things happening in the Bitcoin space. And you recently closed your latest funding round. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So 2.5 million Swiss francs Series A on your account. This is good for you, obviously, but also for Bitcoin. How is the sentiment with investors? How difficult was it for you to grow and to convince new investors?
Well, I mean, a lot of investors, traditional investors, are really not up to speed with Bitcoin yet, so they don't really know what it's all about. So you really need to find investors and VCs who are already educated and in the space. So luckily we did found 4 VCs. 3 out of them were really already deep in this topic. Red Alpine, they already invested in a lot of fintech cases and also in some crypto Bitcoin cases. Polytech as well, they're both Swiss ones. And then Focal Ventures, who is really a Bitcoin and Lightning focused VC from Boston. So these guys are obviously very bullish on everything that is Bitcoin and crypto, and that's why for them they are they are really for them the sentiment is really bullish. But nevertheless, I think they don't find enough good cases that they can and want to invest in currently, because there's also a lot of bullshit going on in our space still, unfortunately. So that's probably like kind of the sentiment. A small portion of venture capitalists want to invest a lot of money in such startups, but don't really find enough good cases currently.
Tell us a bit about the value proposition of Relai. What makes it different to other apps and exchanges?
It's basically 10 times easier and 10 times more private than others, while being non-custodial. So there's not really a similar solution out there that is, from a UX UI perspective, so easy to use, where you don't have to provide any personal detail, like you don't have to create an account, no KYC, AML procedures, and still get your you always are in possession of your money. So either you have your fiat money on the account, or you directly get your Bitcoin to your non-custodial wallet. So that's a combination with the mobile app. So there's a mobile app. You also have you don't have to have a wallet before we also create your wallet. So it's basically out of one everything you want, the best out of Bitcoin for newcomers, especially, out of one hand.
So the process is, me as a user, I open the app, I set an order, I want to purchase, $100 or 100 euros or Swiss franc worth of Bitcoin, and then I have to make a transaction with my bank account, right? But up until a certain limit, there's no verification required. I can literally just like a simple online checkout. How is this how is this working from a regulatory perspective?
In Switzerland, the laws are quite open to this, the AML laws. So up to a certain limit, as we said, and that limit is 1K per day and 100K per year. These money exchange businesses are really they don't require any KYC, AML, and registration and so forth. So, for example, in Switzerland, when you go to an airport and you want to fly to the US, you need US dollar. You just go to a counter and you give them 1K in Swiss francs. You get 1K in USD and you leave. No KYC, nothing. That's the same. That's exactly what we do. We just do it with Bitcoin, right? And so because we are in Switzerland, we have some regulations that obviously apply, but we do not need a license. We do not need to do KYC, AML up to these limits.
Excellent. So some clients might be price sensitive and they're looking for the cheapest way to buy Bitcoin. Now you're taking a 3% fee, and what do you answer to people who are like, that seems expensive, I might go look somewhere for a better deal?
It always depends with whom you compare, right? If you compare to other apps, like for example Coinbase, yes, then it might be a little bit more expensive. For example, Coinbase, you pay 1.5%. Then these 1.5% are the transaction fees. Usually they have a spread as well that you don't see. So the price that you get is not the best price on the market actually. And also they have usually, because they hold your money, they usually have a withdrawal fee. So every time you want to withdraw your Bitcoin from there to your own wallet and hold it yourself, then usually you pay some kind of fee, something like between $1 and $5 in Bitcoin usually. But then if you compare it to other forms of buying Bitcoin directly to your own possession in a very easy way without KYC, AML, and all these registration stuff, then you usually compare with Bitcoin ATMs, and there you have way higher percentage fees than we have, usually something between 7 and 10%. So in this regard, we're basically in the middle, and we're an all-inclusive. So these 3% are all-inclusive. They include these withdrawal fees, and they the spread and the percentage and everything. And but we are aware that people are very price sensitive. Every cent counts, right? So that's why we really working hard on our pricing as well. There will be some news by the end of this year for sure.
Amazing. You mentioned the spread, which for non-financial people, to explain shortly, right? If you take 2% or 5%, whatever, on top of the price, there's also a difference which price you're actually referring to. And if you have an exchange, you can basically dictate your own price. You just say this is the price here, right? And so Bitcoin is traded around the world, and each country has a different price. Could you maybe, in simple terms, elaborate a bit on this? Like, why is there not one price for the whole world?
Well, there is one average price that this is, as said, an average price between every trading institution, basically. As we said, every trading institution basically can say, okay, here at Binance, one Bitcoin is 35K, and then at Coinbase they could say, no, here we sell it cheaper, right? And so this is then the market that decides, which is always demand, supply and demand, how many buy orders against how many sell orders. Usually, if there are more buy orders than sell orders, then people are willing to buy for a higher price. Now, this is the free market. Like thousands of traders basically agree on one price, and on different trading venues, there may be different small micro markets. So there may be slightly different prices, but then there are strategies or players that do something called arbitrage, where they go, if they see, okay, on Coinbase, one Bitcoin is 34K, and on Binance actually 35K. Hey, why don't I go to Coinbase and buy 1 million Bitcoin, or $1 million in Bitcoin, and then go on to Binance and sell it there? And that's how the price then basically goes closer and closer, is pushed closer and closer between those different trading venues.
So last time we spoke, I think, I don't remember exactly the price, but I think it was much lower than today. However, yeah, a few months ago, though, it was twice as high as today. Isn't Bitcoin a very risky asset, a very risky investment?
It's definitely a volatile investment in the short run. In the long run, it has always shown that the longer the time frame, the more it goes up. Like if you go back 1 year, I think the possibility of you making the chance of you making a gain is something around 60-70%. If you go back 2 years, it's around 80-90%. If you go 3 years, it's like 99%. And if you go back 4 years, there's no way, there's 100% you make a gain. There's no way, whenever you bought, whatever you did, you make a gain. So in the short run, it is very volatile. That's very normal for a young, new asset. the longer the time frame, the less the volatility, or at least the downside volatility. So it's definitely a volatile asset. It's therefore also kind of a risky asset. So I wouldn't put like 100% of my savings in there. I wouldn't also, and that's no financial advice, just my own personal opinion. It probably also doesn't make sense to invest something in money that you use short term in a volatile asset, but it definitely makes sense to put at least some portion of your wealth because the upside is so high and the downside is quite like it's limited to what you invest.
Yeah, there is the term or the strategy of dollar cost averaging, which on Twitter people also they even made it a meme, and there's the DCA army, right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I love this initiative, man. This one guy
right.
who pushes everybody.
My question to you would be, I think many people have that idea that Bitcoin, like, most people obviously they're not familiar with Bitcoin. They maybe do it for the first time, and obviously it's a huge new universe to also study and learn about. But I think many people think Bitcoin is really a gamble, or like a one-off. You buy a Bitcoin and you wait. So how do you see this regular purchase and this kind of saving plans, which I also think it's kind of like boring, right? Like it's compared to becoming millionaire overnight with with this bet, right? With this high risk bet, the regular purchase, the DCA, seems like super boring strategy, right? But do you think this is a bulletproof way for beginners to accumulate Bitcoin?
It's maybe a boring strategy, but it also shows that in many markets, different assets, be it Bitcoin, be it gold, be it real estate, be it stocks. So whenever an asset in tendency goes up, but it's very volatile in the short run, it always has been the best strategy to use the DCA. The longer you do it, the better your strategy, because you never, even if you're an expert in trading, you never really always buy low and sell high, right? It's just not possible, even for experts. You always make mistakes, and then if you just do a dollar cost averaging, so for example, you invest $100 a week on a constant basis, you just leave it alone. Then whenever the price is low, at this point you're buying more. Whenever the price is high, you buy less. And on the long run, this gives you the best average price. So it's always basically the best strategy, and it has other advantages, like you don't have to think, you don't have to watch the market all the time and do your research and all that stuff. You can just really set and forget. You put your DCA, and then you just know every week you buy at a good long-term average price, and that's in the end. We also, for example, on our website, or there are many like simulators. We have one on our website where you can see, or you can put in like, okay, let's say I invested $100 per week for the last 3 years, for the last 5 years. What this would bring in terms of return on investment, it's amazing to see. Like it's really better, usually better than whatever you could do with active trading. So that's why definitely makes sense. And not only in Bitcoin, really in every asset that is volatile. This is basically an old, boring, but also successful strategy.
I get a lot of emails from the big brands in the space that they add a new feature now. There's earnings now and this and that, and most of the big brands have adopted or integrated some form of trading tools. Even maybe like futures and all kinds of financial tools. And recently there's the big hype also around decentralized finance, like DeFi, where we can have yield farming, all these fancy words. Relai is still just Bitcoin pure. Will this always stay purist, or do we see some yield farming on Relai soon?
Well, we definitely stick to Bitcoin only. I mean, decentralized finance now usually builds on some kind of other blockchain protocols, usually Ethereum, or I don't know, Avalanche, or whatever there is. This is not something we believe in. Like all these other protocols, I don't think they have a bright future. I think they're fun experiments, but and it's good that the experimentation happens, that innovation happens. Things are being tried out. A lot of people fail. Some ideas might work, and I think all the stuff that will work in terms of DeFi will at one point be implemented on the Bitcoin blockchain. And then we definitely are open to consider. But currently, I think, especially for new users coming into the space, and that's our main target group, it's best to just really start with Bitcoin, pure Bitcoin, learn how to buy and sell and send and receive and store and back up your Bitcoin, and get to know Bitcoin, learn about it, get into the community. And then from there, everybody can basically do whatever they want with their Bitcoin. And we usually build features based on community requests. So our community basically asks for features, and we prioritize and implement them. And there are some DeFi or lending, staking kind of things, Bitcoin related, and we will at one point try to implement and fulfill these wishes. A lot of people would like to make more out of Bitcoin once they are familiar and familiar with Bitcoin and handling Bitcoin and confident with Bitcoin. They try to make more out of it, like get interest rates out of their Bitcoin, for example. That's things we will look into at one point, but I think there's still a lot to do and to optimize on just investing and holding Bitcoin.
I've seen posts on Twitter from the Relai account that in a funny manner, you're happy to sell Bitcoin to your clients in return for fiat that the customers give you. What are you doing with the fiat money, right? We refer to it the dirty fiat, right? So there must be someone willing to sell. Who are these sellers?
Well, we offer buy and sell in our app, and I think sell is usually between 5 and 10% of the orders. So just between 5 and 10% of our customers do sell. We don't know our customers. I can't really tell you who they are and what the fuck they think. No, I mean, I don't know. Can't really tell you. But it's not the majority. There's just, I assume these are people who are not like the Bitcoin all in and Bitcoin long term believers. They're more the speculators. Obviously, a lot of people didn't really understand or maybe don't have the same view on the long term Bitcoin vision that Bitcoin will be digital gold and a store of wealth. They, as you mentioned before, are probably beginners who think, okay, Bitcoin is a cool speculation, and once they doubled in fiat price, then they know what to sell, and that's fair. That's also how they learn. We really are agnostic. We don't give financial advice. So if that's the right thing for those people to do, then go for it. Maybe it's also they need some fiat money to pay some bills or whatever. These are welcome too to sell some Bitcoin timestamp.
Cool. So you recently closed your funding round. So maybe it's interesting to viewers, how the business is flourishing. And for example, I think last time we spoke, it really was early stage startup. What's the salary of a Bitcoin finance startup founder? What could someone expect if he would like to compete with you?
Sorry, the salary. So you mean what our salaries are? Or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're now moving from early stage towards a proper sustainable business, right? So is it something that actually makes enough money for the team to feed the team?
Yeah. I mean, so you can imagine we now have 2.5 million on the bank account, and we are now a team of 6 full-time employees. We will double this by the end of the year, because we have a lot of things to do. We are insourcing our brokerage, so we are building our own broker. We're getting our own broker license. We will invest a lot in marketing, a lot in community management, in product design. So there's a lot of investment, and so these 2.5 million will probably give us a 1 to 1.5 year runway to feed around 12 to 13 full-time employees. That's kind of our sweet spot, and I would say 70 to 80% will go into salary. So that's the most important thing. Human resource, getting the best people and making them happy, and spending or paying them a good salary so they can really be productive and work hard on this vision. So you can kind of have an idea on what the salaries are. They are very good. I mean, I think they are market salaries. Not that you need to work for a couple of sats and the butter bread here.
Excellent. And you mentioned you're growing your team. So what kind of people are you looking for right now? Are you looking for talent? And I think what is interesting in this regard is, what should a Bitcoin employee or member or team member bring? So what do you look at?
Mm-hmm. So we have a marketing team, a tech team, a product team, an operations team, and a customer support team. And we are always open for applications and people who want to make a difference in one of these teams. And then we do value startup experience and startup drive, people who already made a difference maybe in another startup, achieved some great stuff, have a big drive, are very fast thinking, dynamic people, very ambitious people. We basically, the most important for us is personality. So that's a good cultural fit. People are really, they value simplicity, they value focus, they value speed, and they are smart, they are ambitious. So all these personality traits are way more important than some university degree or whatever. That's not really what we're looking for. But we did experience that. Already working in a startup and already achieving things in another startup really definitely helps to be effective here as well. And then obviously we also want to find people that are aligned with our vision and our culture, which is quite unique, quite special. There are always people, for example, that do not align with Bitcoin only and non-custodial, and there are a lot of investors or partners or employees that wanted to work together with us, but we're not aligned on these things, and then it's not a good fit. That's more so personality and cultural fit is more important than education, for example, or traditional work experience.
Interesting. Just on a fun side note, so Bitcoin is a rabbit hole, right? And I think it's got its very unique culture, and so is the meme culture in the Bitcoin community.
Yeah.
Do you have someone that's responsible for the memes, the meme officer or something like that?
Yeah, we have the CMEMO.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, our community manager / social media manager, Satoshi Baggins on Twitter. He's our meme officer. He also leads a group. There's a chat group. You can maybe post the link. A Telegram chat group that is called Relai Meme Pool. And there people can just drop memes that they think are funny, and Satoshi Baggins will take them and kind of relay them and relay brand them and put them on Twitter, and they work very well in the Bitcoin community. I think the meme culture is something that's very important for the space. It makes the space great, and it will make it even bigger.
Yep. So it's from an outsider or for an outsider, it could appear a bit, like a cult or a sect or something like that. From your own experience, the Bitcoin community is very special, I think, and it does help a startup like yours to grow and to have an active community supporting it, right? Which in return gives you a lot of online marketing boost. How does this community really work, and how do you become a part of it, or what does the community expect also from a company, from the brand, from the communications?
I think important is that the community management approach has a very similar approach to the whole Bitcoin ecosystem. Should be open for everyone, for example. Should be neutral. Should not be hierarchically led. Should be borderless. All these threads that we love in Bitcoin should also be true for a sub Bitcoin community like Relai, for example. So, for example, I myself do not at all see myself as a leader, and I do not think I am in any way a leader. I don't even know how many chats are going on. I'm not active in most of them. Also on social media, I do not influence in any way what's going on in our social media for half a year now or so. That was probably when I did my last Twitter post from the Relai account. So this is an important thing. Everybody is welcome. That's very important, especially except scammers. We do kick out scammers, but otherwise everybody's welcome. And so I think this is the cultural alignment between the Bitcoin ecosystem as a broad and our specific Bitcoin subgroup Relai is very important. It works quite well so far. And also open source and letting people actually give inputs that materialize. Not just ask the community and then don't act on it, but really ask community, hey, what kind of meme would you like to post, or what kind of new feature you would like to have in the app, or what kind of communication would you just ask the community and actually do these things. I think that's really important, that community is being heard. And really they feel like they are a part of this project, which we really try to achieve, because I think that's also how everybody can become successful in the process.
So you are based in Zug, Switzerland, which is also
Zurich.
Zurich now. Okay.
I've always been in Zurich.
Always been in Zurich. I thought you've been in Zug as well. Okay, sorry, then my bad. But Switzerland obviously is a welcoming country for Bitcoin companies. How is the region doing and developing in that regard? And maybe second, do you have updates on the regulatory landscape? Are there any changes coming up that could affect user experience and the industry?
It's still very positively positive and welcoming. I think the different regulatory bodies and Swiss government, they are very, and politics and stuff, they are very open to the whole Bitcoin crypto blockchain space, out of various reasons. But I think this strategy is still in place and will be for a long time. So all Bitcoin projects are welcome here, and we also see a lot of them coming, also competitors of ours like Pocket Bitcoin, GetBidder, who like Ruben, who activated the service again in Switzerland. So a lot of them are coming here and are supported very well by the politics and by the regulatory bodies and everything. So that's still intact. From a regulatory point of view, I don't have a crystal ball, but what was a good sign was that, like in 2020, still the limit of buying and selling Bitcoin without KYC was 5K per day and 100K per year. Now it went down to from 1st of January 21, it went down to 1K per day, which is bad in one way. But what's good in that is that this was really written down in quite deeply in the legal framework of Switzerland. So that means that it's actually a sustainable long-term decision that gives us, you never know, it can always change rather quickly, but it gives us confidence that in the next 2 to 4 years, nothing major will change. Usually, if it's written down at this level of the legal framework in Switzerland, it takes quite some time to change. So it looks like still will stay quite stable, and no bad surprises expected in the next couple of years, I would say.
Yeah, well, if I calculate right, I think 1K per day, that would allow with a DCA strategy to accumulate at least 1 Bitcoin per month. I think for most people that should do the job. And do you actually, by the way, do you actually pay employees in Bitcoin also?
Not yet.
Okay.
So far, the strategy is to raise fiat money and spend fiat money, and then earn Bitcoin and save Bitcoin. That's
right.
kind of our strategy so far. But obviously, we are looking into paying salaries in Bitcoin as well. It's not that straightforward and easy in Switzerland, especially also because we have people working in different countries, and then from country to country the laws are different, so it kind of would be unfair. So some could maybe earn more Bitcoin, some less. And it's quite an administrative burden. Nevertheless, it's definitely possible, and we will look into that by the end of this year or beginning of next year for sure. What we do is we are looking into paying bonus in Bitcoin. That's pretty easy, up to 10% of yearly salary. You can pay out in Bitcoin as a bonus. That's quite easy. That's what we want to do. If we achieve all the goals that we are setting by the end of the year, then some sats will be paid out in bonus.
You mentioned that you don't have any detailed information about your users, which is obviously due to the nature of the Relai service, which takes user privacy very serious. But maybe from customer feedback or personal conversation with your users, with your customers, do you see a change that's going on, that there are different type of users, different motivation, maybe different demographics? Are there more, maybe in the meantime, more female users also, or is it still mostly male dominated?
Yeah, unfortunately not. Unfortunately, it stays the same when it comes to female users. I think that's a problem in the whole space. It's about 85% men and 15% women still using our service. That we do know that from the app downloads, from the App Store information. Also, the age distribution stays rather the same. A lot of young people, some mid-aged people, and quite some old people as well, which is interesting. So between 45 and 65 is a quite active group, which is interesting. Didn't really change, I would say. What did change, that's intuitively, is that we have lost some Bitcoin enthusiasts using our service. They probably, they came early, they tried it out, they liked it, they referred it, but now they also, they look for cheaper options that are maybe a little bit more complicated, but that are cheaper and even more anonymous, or I'm not sure. But I also think our service is really targeted for beginner users, and that's also where we see that exactly these people they come and stay, whereas Bitcoin enthusiasts usually they come and try and they refer a little bit, but they don't use it on the long run. So these people we lose sometimes, but that's probably the only change. Otherwise, it stays quite, the user base stays quite stable.
So I believe experts estimate there are approximately 5 million Bitcoins lost due to loss of the private keys. You also, as you mentioned, it's a non-custodial service, so the actual user is responsible. How do you see this whole self-custody? Are your users really ready to take care of their own keys, and what is in the pipeline? What are you doing right now to protect the Bitcoin of the users?
I think very important is that the users, especially new users who are not familiar with holding their own money in a digital way with private key and everything, to really educate them and step by step introduce them to what they exactly need to do, why this is important, and So that's what we try to do with our support center, with our FAQs, with our blogs, with all the learning materials that we have, with our community, so everybody is free, to ask, and especially also with the UX UI flow, the user journey in the app. So when you first download the app, it's really it step by step takes you through the process of backing up your private key. I think that's very important. That's also it's also working, so we don't have a lot of cases. We have some, obviously, that's not that's inevitable, but we have very few cases where people actually lose their money because they get educated in the process. And always when it comes to money, people are also motivated to get educated about it. And I think more and more people learn also what the advantages are of non-custodial solutions, and why it makes sense to actually hold your own Bitcoin instead of leaving it on an exchange or something. Nevertheless, there is a lot that can be done. I think if we want to get the rest of the 80-90% of the population into Bitcoin, then we will need to figure out some even easier solutions. I think there are interesting things going on, being tried out. For example, Face ID, combination with your private key. You don't actually have to write down your seed words, but you just have your Face ID connected to your private key. Whenever you lose your phone or whatever, you can just download the app again on another phone and with your Face ID restore. That's what Zengo does. I think that's for example one interesting avenue. Another one is social backup. So you can with a click in the app you can share parts of your private key with, for example, family members, and then whenever you lose your phone, they can restore together. Your mom and your dad, for example, can restore your private key again. These are things just that keeps the decentralization and non-custodial ethos, but adds security and trust in people, and the risk of losing assets is lower, especially for the beginners. These are things that we also definitely are observing and having on our roadmap. And then at one point, once you have a lot of money, a lot of Bitcoin, most users will look for an alternative. I mean, you also don't want to have like 1 or 2 million in cash at home, or make sure it's safe yourself because you're not specialized on that. Once you have a lot of money, and that's I think where banks or traditional custodials will come into play again, because this really makes sense to mandate them, if you have a lot of money, to mandate such an institution who's specialized on securing funds, to secure your funds. And then you're probably willing to pay something, and they will offer you some insurance on that. What's cool now with Bitcoin is that you can actually still have a redundancy. You can still have your private key, but have one copy with your bank as well. You have transparency. You exactly know what's happening with your money. If you now give 1 million USD to your bank, you don't know what the fuck they're doing with it. But with Bitcoin you do. So I think that this is not gonna go away, and there's still a lot to do when it comes to securing Bitcoin non-custodially. But I think there are definitely, these are technical problems that will improve in the next 5 to 10 years.
So I have a last few questions before I leave you, and I can't hold back anymore. My curiosity really wants to follow up here. In the background is this little pin post. It says sales. I'm not sure if you're just pretending to work there or if it's an actual thing. But
I don't know what is on there.
Right. So the question is
from a workshop like 2 months ago or so.
So what's up for the next? You mentioned you have the funding round allowing you a year runway. So what can we expect? What are the milestones from now for Relai?
So by the end of October, we want to have our own broker ready with the broker license. That's our main focus now. That's what we're working on. This will allow us then until the end of the year this will allow this will basically open up a lot in terms of new features, new designs, new also volumes, bigger volumes. We will be able to do KYC for these people, the people who want to have higher volumes. If someone wants to invest 10K per day, they will be able to do so because we can do KYC. We will be able to play around with the fees. We will push highly sought after, highly asked after features like different payment options. We will be able to play around with Lightning way better than we can now. So basically, by the end of October, own broker, which will open up a lot of possibilities for new features. There will be a big marketing campaign as well, which should be very interesting by the end of this year. And then, next year will be all around expansion. So we try to provide the service to more countries, and also do marketing, community building in more countries, in Europe first, and then all over the world. And it's really our goal to now build the base, to build the foundation, and that's the own broker. This is really essential so that we can then, once we have our own broker, fulfill more user needs, more user wishes, because we have a backlog of like 300, 400 things that our users want to see, and a lot of them are kind of blocked because we are dependent of an external broker now. So I think there are crazy things in it as well, like daily stacking options through Lightning, for example, or a Bitcoin debit card where you can spend your Bitcoin all over the world, connect to Relai wallet. So there are a lot of interesting things, and I encourage everybody who is or will be part of the community to submit ideas and wishes that you have, and we definitely will invest a lot of a big chunk of these 2.5 million to fulfill that.
Excellent. Okay, so final question. Obviously, we need to talk about the Bitcoin price, whether you like it or not. But a lot of investors are. Oh, there's a black block. Okay.
Very good.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's lower than it used to be.
So yeah, when are the digits, the letters on that clock breaking, because Bitcoin is going higher? A lot of investors, I think, are calling for 100K, 200K. On the other side, there's also bad news, in terms of regulation or mining bans and stuff like that. What's in for the next 12, 24 months realistically?
Yeah, I really don't know.
That's the right answer, right? So in order to, if you want to figure out whether you can trust the CEO or not, like if he makes a bold prediction, probably it's not reliable or trustworthy. So yeah, knowing that you don't know, that's what makes a Bitcoiner probably.
yeah, cool. That's well said. I think in the long run, it's inevitable that the price goes higher, right? Because more institutions are coming in, more DCAers, more people understand the long-term vision and do invest in Bitcoin for the next 5 to 10 years. Like, figure the volume is going up. I think in the long run, it's inevitable that we will get to 100K. But I can't say. Warren Buffett always said you can predict the direction, but you never predict timing, right? And that's especially true in Bitcoin. I don't know if we will make it by the end of this year. Definitely possible. When we saw how fast you can go from 20K to 60K. That's exactly how fast you can go from 30K to 100K easily within the next couple of months. And I think the preconditions are good, but as long as the market is still so dynamic in terms of bad news, like from Elon Musk or from China banning Bitcoin mining and stuff like that, this will always kind of give pressure on the price. But you never know when this stops again. I think there will be some more sideway development, and there could even be another crypto winter It's really possible. You see how fast it can go from a huge hype where Bitcoin is all over the media every day to right now it's really cooling down again. Like if you walk through the streets and talk about Bitcoin, nobody really cares. So it could be that we are into another 1 to 2 year crypto winter before we then get the next hype session to 100K. So that's fine. I think usually Bitcoiners are used to it, and then these hype these phases are also good for building. You know, hype is good for marketing, and the winters are good for building. So it's definitely in the long run, I think it's good for the whole ecosystem. It's fine.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the chat, Julian Liniger.
Thank you, man. It was a pleasure.